Now that Pokemon Unite has been out for a couple of days, we can confidently say which Pokemon are physical and which Pokemon are special because of community testing. You go into the practice tool, you turn on item, you see which items affect which moves, then you can find out the damage profile from there, and the interesting thing is that a Pokemon is going to be all one type of damage. Now there was weirdness with Absol in the beta because it lowered special defense on its passive, but now that's actually been fixed. So you go in the game and it decreases their defense, which suggests that Absol is going to be all physical. And you can tell by using a site like UniteDB which Pokemon is going to do what kind of damage because it says normal attacker or special attacker. So normal attack is physical, and it means all of the abilities are physical regardless of what they might be in the main series Pokemon games. So Charizard, if you have Muscle Band on it, or if you have any kind of attack boosting item like Floatstone, Flamethrower is going to scale with that because Flamethrower is considered a physical move. And then there's also some other weird things like, wait, Wigglytuff is slapping you. Slapping sounds like a physical action, or rollout seems physical, but no, Wigglytuff scales with special attack, so it's going to be all special attack. The only thing is, all the moves, like all of your basic attacks, are going to be physical regardless. However, enhanced moves are considered special attacks when used by special attackers. So Ninetails is going to be physical, the empowered move is then going to be special. That's really all there is to it. So because of this, we can find out what items are optimal on the Pokemon, and for the most part, the builds are going to be pretty accurate because you just want to go for insane damage and scaling on the Absol, get that crit in there with the scope lens. Since your abilities and passive are going to modify crit, yeah, getting that bonus 12% damage on crit just going to be multiplicative damage, which is really good. Floatstone, usually a jungler or a ganker, you want to get into the fight, then you want to engage it. So you're still getting that movement speed passive, and then you're doing a lot of damage with the attack. Then the attack weight, as you score, if you keep snowballing, you get more and more benefit out of it. However, I don't think the attack weight is the way to go in all Absol builds, because as a jungler, sometimes if that gank doesn't work, you can have a hard time scoring, so you will fall behind in the stats, which means yeah, Muscle Band still gonna be good, because as you're auto attacking to either stack your passive, or if you're doing some jungle clear, you're just getting more attack speed, more attack out of that. Also, the percent hit points pretty strong. So I think for the most part, some Pokemon do have some flexibility on the items you use, and then there could just be personal strategy. Some Pokemon can run a variety of items. Other Pokemon, they're going to have few choices because those items are just the best on that Pokemon. So I don't think if you just look at this build and go, oh, everyone's saying Power Weight, I should do Power Weight. You can also just consider Muscle Band and maybe some other ideas. But yeah, this is going to be pretty standard, pretty straightforward on the Absol. Now let's go and check out Charizard. So this is where things get pretty spicy and pretty interesting for the Charizard, since we have Energy Amplifier and Buddy Barrier. But Charizard is a physical attacker, and it's also listed as an all-rounder. All-rounders are effectively melee carries, so why do we have a tank item and a non-direct damage item on this Pokemon? Well, that's because Charizard's Unite move is what makes the Pokemon, especially with its passive and all the other crazy things going on. If this might be something you experience in your games, or if you're a Charizard player you want to focus around, that if you just rain auto attacks while Unite moving and you have your passive proccing, so you're getting more crits and then you're getting a better chance and more damage, you can melt teams, and then you're getting more safety out of it. Also, Energy Amplifier, more frequent Unite move usage, and then you're also doing more damage. So why have the Muscle Band here when you're just getting 21% more damage on your crazy critting Fire Blast? And then also the Buddy Barrier, it makes it to where you can use it to not die, suddenly get a burst of shield, be tankier overall, and then yeah, it just works really well, and it makes it to where Charizard is very difficult to do anything about when it's Unite moving. So I agree, this is a pretty good take on the Charizard, because yeah, it's really Unite move focused. You can maybe try to be stronger in lane with a Muscle Band, but I don't know what you would get rid of, since this is the optimal way of doing the Charizard. So you can also see yeah, Absol, even though it's a melee carry as well, it's a speedster and it's not as Unite move focused. It wants to use abilities and combo you down, do crazy stuff like that. Then we just get into an auto attacker. So Cinderace is one of the few true AD carries in the game, or at least MOBA terminology, ADC ranged auto attack carry, and these items kind of reflect that. So we have Scope Lens. Once again, Cinderace, also a Pokemon that scales with crit. You get on low health, you're critting more, and then it just does crazy unstoppable damage at range. So yeah, boosting all that, really good. Scope Lens is a 100% pick. Also, more attack speed. and higher attack, and then bonus damage on top of it. Perfect. And then once again, when it comes down to the attack weight, Score Bunny, kinda not as great in lane. Like, once Cinderace evolves, like, once you become Cinderace, then the Pokemon turns on and just scales insanely into the late game. So, like, yeah, if you can confidently score, that's good, but 18 attack, plus 12 attack, it actually doesn't get that crazy because attack is directly scaling. So if you're going later on in the game and your auto attacks are doing several hundred damage, like 700, 800, or you're critting, getting like crazy attacks off on the opponent, I think like the base is around 400 or 500 once you break level 12 or 13. Just kind of like, we don't know the exact number, so we're still waiting for the data mine on that, even though we know which Pokemon are physical and special. So we're still waiting to see how that goes. But overall, like, yeah, it seems like Cinderace is consistently hitting for like 500-600 autos and then just getting crazy bursts on top of crits. So I mean, like, adding 30 damage to that, not an insane amount. It helps out early on, but you're also not getting as many impactful auto attacks early on. So I think like attack weight is a really not that great item, even on Pokemon that are meant to be auto attacking. So you can consider something else for it. Bloodstone, you just get that base speed in there and then consistent attack, and it also lets you roam. So if you need to move to Rotom, if you need to move to Dreadnought, if you need to kind of like rotate or something, I think that's going to be a better choice on the Cinderace. But also Energy Amplifier. That's another great pick because that 21% damage will scale throughout the entire game. This isn't going to scale as your base stats are just going to outpace whatever you're getting from the weight, even if you've capped out the item. So Energy Amplifier, that 21% more damage is going to be more after Unite moving, and then that's when you have all of your mobility, that's when you have like that boost from the Unite move. So I think that is a viable pickup as well. Focus Band, I honestly think that Focus Band is a viable pick on a lot of carry Pokemon because it gives you extra durability through laning, which can really save your lane if you are a weaker startup kind of laning Pokemon. And then, like with the Feint and the synergy you have on Cinderace and some other Pokemon movesets, this could be pretty game-changing if you don't get bursted down. If it does keep you alive, like that item is supposed to do, or like its lore represents in the game, then you can get that extra little bit of pop-off and kind of turn around team fight off of that. So there's a couple more options that you can take with the Cinderace. Next up, if we go and check out the Cramorant, we can start looking at special attacks, and here is where I disagree with the item choices. This is what I run on Cramorant as the best Cramorant player in the world because Cramorant has one of, if not the best Unite move in the game, and we just kind of like break down the amount of stats and how much power you get out of items. It just makes sense to use these items right here because I was testing it, and if you have a level 20 Wise Glasses, so yeah, the difference between level 30 and also level 30 on the special attack specs can scale a bit more, but you're only getting like 11% more damage at level 2. For a full Whirlpool. And that's another thing, like, Cramorant's base damage is so insane with, like, Surf, Whirlpool, Hurricane, that you're not really getting too much crazy scaling out of the special attack specs, and this is only going to drop off over time as Cramorant levels up, gets more special attack, upgrades its moves. You're not really going to be feeling these items as much. And Wise Glasses, it only gives you 7% more special attack, but it doesn't directly give you, like, 7% more damage. So why like just have all of this, which is going to drop off and not have a super crazy amount of effect? We can just go for that 21% more damage off of the Energy Amplifier because that's when you're playing around it. And also that's when you throw out abilities. You know, you initiate the fight or you get a little bit of disruption, go Hurricane, Surf, immediately go into your Night move. You just spam that, blast it, you come out of it while your cooldowns are off, and then that means you get a boosted Hurricane Surf again, and it's just going to be crazy, too much damage. That's also where Buddy Barrier comes into play. Plus 600 hit points. Well, if you have like a level 20 or even level 30 special attack specs Wise Glasses, you're getting 250 damage on a full combo at level 2. And Pokemon start out with over 3,000 hit points, and like tankier Pokemon or Pokemon that are running Assault Vest, Focus Band, they're just going to knock that damage down even more. So it takes a couple of ability rotations to offset a Buddy Barrier even early on in the game. And then again, those benefits are just going to drop more as your Pokemon levels up and gains hit points and defenses that outscale special attack specs and Wise Glasses, and even the Shell Bell. So I think like, yeah, you have more durability right there. And then Focus Band. Focus Band is just to round out your combo. It makes it to where you're harder to kill in lane, you have that little bit of durability, so that could be that extra ability rotation, because like, oh, that Whirlpool comes in, they don't get the execute on you, and now you're the one that's turning around the fight, getting that KO early on. And it's also really good if you're trying to hold down a team fight. Unite move, you're getting the Unite move shield, you're getting the Buddy Barrier shield. Now Focus Band is barely keeping you alive just in case everything's starting to go bad, and then that's how you just take over games as Cramorant. Pretty much my winning strategy is make sure you time it to where you have your Unite move for the Zapdos fight. Unite move, Energy Amplifier, too much damage, Buddy Barrier, Focus Band. Also, it's really good for just those game-winning team fights or setting up on Dreadnought, because Dreadnought in that mid-ish late or like right after the 5-minute mark becomes incredibly important as well. So I just set up right there, make sure we get Dreadnought, make sure we win that fight, and then just kind of keep snowballing it off the Unite move. And the Energy Amplifier, also the Energy Gather rate, pretty strong. Cooldown reduction. 4.5 isn't crazy, but can change games. So I think there's more value to these items than just going Unga Bunga, special attacker, I do this. Also, Air Slash Dive, not the moveset. You should only be running Hurricane Surf on your Cramorant. So it's like, oh man, Air Slash Shell Bell, and you're getting all that healing, you're getting more healing, and you're getting mobility, and you're dashing around on them. You're not going to have as much of an impact doing all this stuff. So like, has synergy, but just not as good. So things to take into consideration. Let's go into Crustle. So Crustle, as a physical attacker, as a tank, physical potential carry, or tank disruptor, like, it's just in a weird spot. It's not S tier busted 1v9 like it was in the beta, but still, you want to be running Shell Smash, you want to be running X-Scissor, and since it is an all physical Pokemon with this normal attacker, there's a couple ways you can take it. Your Unite move is incredibly powerful, so becoming unkillable with your Unite move, being more unkillable, giving your ally a shield, and then just popping off even harder. Yeah, Buddy Barrier is going to be a take. Now, this is where a case for Energy Amplifier somewhere, but I also really like Focus Band because it synergizes with your passive. That as you have Shell Smash, you cut your defenses, but then you're getting attack, but then you're getting tankier as your hit points get lower, and then you're healing off the... Everything just gets nutty with the synergy, and it allows for Crustle to be even more ridiculous for longer. And then as a tank, trying to get in there, trying to initiate the fight, getting that 15% hit points, that's going to scale. That 15% hit points is always going to have more value than the plus attack off of an attack weight, or the 7% from a specs, or something like that. Especially on a tank Pokemon, then special defense, more damage negation, hit points, also pretty good. So like, yeah, can't really disagree with this. And then down here we have Eos Cookie, and I secretly believe that Eos Cookie is the best item in the game. I'm going to be doing an item tier list later on, so like, comment, subscribe, notification bell, check out my playlist, all of that shilling stuff. But like, just think about it, because you're getting plus 200 max hit points. Well, if we go over here and we look at attack weight, plus 12 attack. So one score is going to negate 15, 16 auto attacks from one attack rate score. There's just way too much health value in that. And like, sure, I guess a crit could maybe change the damage values around, but now it just makes Crustle more ridiculous as it scales. Buddy Barrier, Assault Vest, that's good. Focus Band, yeah, like, that's another thing, that's like another weird thing to consider. If you're getting 1200 bonus health, plus they also 240 health from the item, well then those defenses don't matter, and if you have like 5,000 hit points and you're getting 14% of that back, well, you just have more base hit points from the Eos Cookie. Maybe someone like just kind of loses it. They're like, oh, they just assume you're going to die, and then Focus Band keeps you alive, so then maybe like they like just misplay off of the Focus Band, or you're just like stupid tanky from the Eos Cookie, and then you're scaling because you have special defense and tankiness from your passive. So that's some weirdness. Now, one thing that could also get kind of weird with the Crustle is I believe that Shell Smash is the way to go. So Shell Smash X-Scissor, well, now you still have a couple seconds of Shell Smash, so I think you can find a place for Muscle Band on the Crustle. So I mean, like, Muscle Band Crustle, Energy Amplifier, Buddy Barrier, that's just Unite move, 1v5, you become just ridiculous and you can run that. Muscle Band, Buddy Barrier, Eos Cookie, or Assault Vest, you can do that as well. It is kind of hard to score early with Crustle, but I mean, if you just kind of like get into that mid game, then find all of your stacks, suddenly you power spike harder than the opponent can ever imagine, and that's where things get pretty ridiculous. So yeah, I think there's a couple of different options for Crustle, but AD carry is a consideration for this Pokemon. Eldegoss. I don't know what's going on here with this Shell Bell, because I think you're going to give more benefit to your team by running a special attack item. And I think this is where things get a bit more nuanced for effectively every Pokemon. You don't get to go, oh, look at this, Cramorant is a special attacker, so just run the 3 special attack moves. I think the game is a bit more complex than that, because in League of Legends, even though we don't have the stats, so we don't know, like, if you're running Eldegoss, do you get bonus healing and bonus shielding based on your special attack? You probably do, which means you want to go with the Wise Glasses. Because now you're getting healing for yourself and your teammates, when Shell Bell would just be giving you a little bit of healing for yourself. So I think this is going to give you more supportive power. And then, like, the weird thing is, Eldegoss is starting to run Leaf Tornado, and some of them are running, like, high special attack sets, or at least, like, going for, like, a damaging, scaling Eldegoss, and that could be pretty strong as well. So, yeah, the Wise Glasses, I think is pretty good, but then Energy Amplifier makes sense, especially after Unite move. Just kind of get that faster, get more benefit out of it. Buddy Barrier Eldegoss just turns off the team fight. Just means like, okay, now no one's dying for a while, and Eldegoss gets to be ridiculous for a bit longer. So yeah, kind of making it to where you get base power off of the Wise Glasses, and then have just a strong Unite move. That's probably what you want to be doing with the Eldegoss. Next up, we have Garchomp. Garchomp is weird, and once again, the attack weight, get rid of that. But I don't say immediately put in the Muscle Band, because Garchomp is going to be a big ulting Pokemon, so makes sense put in Energy Amplifier. I think this is an underrated item, but it's starting to get a bit more acknowledgement, it's starting to get a bit more pickup overall. But Muscle Band, you're not doing as many auto attacks with the Garchomp. It's mostly that you're comboing off of your abilities and your Unite move, so Energy Amplifier just makes you 1v9 even harder. Buddy Barrier also makes it crazy to kill, and then that 40% hit points, that scaling, is going to be more value than attack weight ever gives, more value than any offensive items are really going to give. And Focus Band, maybe. Like, I do like the idea of Garchomp here, because at the end of the day, you are melee. You need to stay alive as much as possible, so that 15% special shield means you get to get into that fight, and because there's probably going to be a special attacker, there's like at least one on every team, you effectively have 15% health in a team fight, which is strong, and then 270 health, and then that special defense, and then you really get in there. So yeah, you don't really need anything to raise your attack, and Gabite Gibble, not too crazy. Like, you can scale. I guess like plus 90 attack feels good, especially if like you're getting auto attack damage, and then even more damage scaling on Dragon Rush, your ult, and Dragon Claw. But I don't think you get as much value out of this. Kind of like what I talked about with the Aeos cookie. The value from this item doesn't scale as much as anything else you're getting, or you just get 21% flat damage, which is more than the 90 attack will ever give you. So Buddy Barrier, Assault Vest, I feel like are the big pickups, and then Focus Band also makes sure like early into mid-game scaling really good, because Garchomp is that late game turn on hyper carry. So if you can like get there safer, or like use that Focus Band play to get you into that state of the game, that's fine, because Energy Amplifier does come online kind of late, and you don't necessarily need it to win a fight with an ulting Garchomp. And you're already like a little bit Unite focused on the Buddy Barrier, so Garchomp's Unite move is pretty big, but Garchomp isn't as reliant on it as like Charizard is or something like that. So got some interesting things to break down, but I do think that there should be some tank consideration to make sure Garchomp stays in the fight as long as possible. Gengar. Now, Gengar has such ridiculous damage with Sludge Bomb Hex that yes, this is fine. This is what you want to do. You want to get as much special attack as possible, you want to scale that, and you just want to nuke people. And this is also a case where Shell Bell does work really well, because you just stick on them, and then you just keep hitting them. Hex, 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 and then you're actually healing off of that. And then you have high special attack and even higher special attack, and then you're getting more recovery because it scales with special attack. So it is nutty right there. Like, it's just that Gengar is such a hard special attacker that this is the thing to do. But I do think that item choices in other situations do require a little bit more nuance, where it's like, yeah, Cramorant, that's very heavily skewed towards a Unite move, but Gengar doesn't really care about the Buddy Barrier because it goes invisible, so it's not like it needs that shield to pop off or do anything crazy. You just want to get more and more special attack on it. And Gengar also doesn't need the Energy Amplifier because it's not reliant on that Unite move to go and assassinate, get Zapdos, get kills, win team fights. So being as powerful as possible for the entire duration of the game, that's what Gengar wants to do. And I feel like its base tankiness and stats are so low that you can't really even save it with too many of those other items. So yeah, just nuke people with Gengar. Gengar gets nerfed, maybe like it might want to consider some kind of other item, but as it stands right now, if you just kill them before they have any opportunity to do anything, no other items matter for any kind of setup. Then we get into Greninja, and I feel like what I've been saying about attack weight is even more true on Greninja, because Froakie, kind of weak. Frogadier, not really doing too much. And then when you're Greninja, it's like, cool, you finally scaled into Greninja, but you didn't get a lot of scoring opportunities, so you didn't get a lot of opportunities to really get that attack weight going, and one of your abilities just does not do damage. So like, you have the base attack, That's the weird thing about Greninja. Greninja also isn't a crit attacker. You get increased attack after sneaking, and then while hit points is below 50%, you get attack speed and movement speed. So it's not like Charizard or Cinderace where you're also finding crit. So, like, Greninja is in a very weird spot. I do consider it kind of middle tier. That, like, yeah, Greninja can be strong, and it is one of the few 80 carries, and it does have, like, some late game carrying potential. But overall, why pick Greninja when Cinderace is as strong as it is and just Zeraora exists? So I think that does make the item choices a little weird on the Greninja, but don't run attack weight. Like, you're not getting as much value out of attack weight as pretty much any other item. And I think there could even be a case for scope lens. Like, even if you're not getting, like, crit scaling, finding a critical hit chance and then getting a bonus hit off of that kind of brings Greninja closer to Cinderace, and you are an 80 carry, so you are getting off enough auto attacks to where maybe 1 or 2 or 3 of those will matter by being a crit instead of just being not crazy damage because of the attack weight. It is kind of weird. Now, I do think maybe there are some other things to do with Greninja. They just become a backdooring fiend, and you do Score Shield. So, Floatstone, base attack. More base attack than the attack weight. Also, speed, which scales with your passive when the Torrent activates and all these other things. Muscle Band, faster, harder hitting auto attacks. Always good, especially because your passive third auto attack is more percent health on top of that. So yeah, all that stuff is good, but then Score Shield. So now you get more speed, little bit of extra durability, and then shenanigans off of that Score Shield. So if you're running like just an annoyance split pushing Greninja, because I think Greninja is kind of like Talonflame in that it doesn't really team fight that well. That if it smoke screens, that's like concession in the fight. If it goes through the Unite move, that's usually a last ditch effort instead of like trying to actually influence the fight. Greninja is just in a weird place like that. Also, instead of Score Shield, I think maybe Focus Band does give you a little bit more comfort inside of the early game, but also I think it makes it where your smokescreen then gets more power. And I think that could be very important, because like I said, I see Double Team or smokescreen as more like, oh, I need to get out. And you can't really turn back around on a fight because you're so frail, and you don't have like any other abilities. You know, this isn't like League of Legends where you have that third ability that's also just a crazy damaging ability. If you've already used your Water Shuriken or Surf, even if they come back off cooldown while the smoke screen's doing its thing, you're still in a very weakened state. But now, if you use Focus Band, you come out of it with more health, and you have more base durability. And then you can use those base attacks and everything else to kind of get more value out of it, and I think it's still going to have more value than the attack weight. So, Score Shield, I think that's the playstyle that you should be focusing on with Greninja, and really any other item is also going to be pretty good then. So I think Score Shield might be the niche pickup that really alters your Greninja games. If not Focus Band, I just think there's more value here than any other item that you could be picking. But Floatstone, that just works with your scaling and everything else, so that's going to be pretty good right there. Next up, we have Lucario. And Lucario is going to be the exception like Gengar. All attack, as much Unga Bunga, as much damage as possible. I don't see any of these other tankier items giving you too much more salvation. And the thing is, your Steadfast is really good. That shield all of a sudden just like turns off Lucario dying. So I don't think you need the Focus Band to really synergize with that because you're getting enough. And you need to kill them before Steadfast wears off. And if Steadfast wears off, I don't think you're also going to get too much more out of the Focus Band as well. So yeah, just all attack, all scoring, all damage, keep scaling, keep going crazy. This is like the most successful Lucarios are the ones that are just going in and one-shotting at pretty much all stages of the game. Early game Lucario can be strong, mid game Lucario is ridiculous, and then late game Lucario, I feel like its damage starts to tail off a bit, but just kind of keeping up with that. All these values, all this scaling, that is what you want. Now, I haven't really been talking about battle items for this video. I think that's kind of worth its own separate video, but Flash works, Attack Up works. I don't know about the smoke screen, but maybe there's some weird stuff going on there. But yeah, Lucario is going to be one of the exceptions. Machamp. I think Machamp is going to be more like Garchomp. You want to go crazy with the Unite move, and then you want to be as useful for as long as possible, so I think a little bit of extra durability is needed on the Machamp. Now, Muscle Band, yeah, that's an item you want. You run them down, then you punch them, and then your punches are doing more damage, and you're also getting some scaling off that. Floatstone, I think is also a viable item on the Machamp. Focus Band, Assault Vest, Energy Amplifier. It kind of depends on what you're going for, but I don't think you want the scope lens too much. Yes, Machamp has crit in its kit, but 12% critical hit damage if and when you're critting versus 21% more damage throughout your absurd unstoppable Unite move. This just makes you even more unstoppable. This just really secures like 3 kills inside of a team fight, or really securing a 1v2 split push. They can't send enough people to stop you in the side lane. Energy, Amplifier, Unite move, craziness. And then with the Assault Vest, I think it's a lot like the Garchomp, that you go in with that Assault Vest and now you actually have effectively 15% more hit points because some special attacks will find you, and then you can get onto their Pikachu. Because that's another really good thing about Machamp, is that it gets onto these safe special attackers. They're safe carries. So you get to run up onto that Pikachu, and now they get to do even less against you because of that Assault Vest. Kind of does depend on opponent's team composition, but Assault Vest, very safe play. Like I said with the Focus Band, like, I could see that having the effectiveness, but once again, it's like 14% hit points lost, or 15% base hit points in the fight, plus hit points and more special defense. And admittedly, I have seen Machamp be absolutely ridiculous with Floatstone. They run back to lane super early, they run around and gank, and then like they can start running at you with that submission a little earlier, and they get even crazier, and they can just get up onto you a bit more efficiently. So Floatstone, Assault Vest, Energy Amplifier, I think also has its own viability and like a different playstyle. Because like, okay, 7.5% attack speed, you're using a lot of abilities, you're already punching them, you're already hitting super hard, you're getting more attack on the Floatstone as well, and the 3% remaining hit points, again, you're just too crazy, you're just too strong. Kind of like with Garchomp, you don't need to rely on the Muscle Band, so this could actually just be a lot better for a lot of other situations, and then just having more impact in the overall game. So yeah, don't default to Muscle Band, don't default to just the items that give damage. Try to consider what else can happen inside of the game. So Floatstone, Assault Vest, Energy Amplifier, probably going to be the most ridiculous way to run Machamp. Mr. Mime. I have no idea what is going on with Mr. Mime because I have seen special attacking Mr. Mime. They are frail, but it doesn't matter because they can just push people off of them with the confusion, and then they're doing a million damage with that. So Buddy Barrier, yeah, I think that that's at least the need on the Mr. Mime. Shell Bell, you're not really, like, confusion doesn't happen often enough, so I don't know what the Shell Bell is doing here. But this is like the nutty Mr. Mime, minus this. I don't like Psychic, I don't like Guard Swap. I think the highest, best moveset on Mr. Mime is going to be Confusion Barrier, but all special attack Mr. Mime, pretty crazy. I don't really know what's going on with the Shell Bell, so take off Shell Bell, put in Buddy Barrier, because Mr. Mime's Unite move just shuts down entire team fights. Go special attack, specs, wise glasses, and just try to have as much domination as possible. This is more like higher end Mr. Mime gameplay. Once you like fully understands the ins and outs and absurdity that is Mr. Mime as a dedicated main, then you can get away with that. But there's also a lot of punishment inside of it, so first time Mr. Mimes, yeah, Assault Vest, Buddy Barrier, kind of calm it down, understand the character. But then once you're really confident and you just keep pressure on, full special attack Mr. Mime. It doesn't make sense, but it doesn't need to because it's Mr. Mime. Now when it comes to Ninetails, I feel like people are starting to pick up with different Ninetails playstyles, and some of them are being a lot more successful. I really like Aurora Veil Ninetails. It gives the Pokemon a lot of individual agency, but it also helps team fights immensely. But the thing to note is that it gives you boosted auto attacks. That every auto attack is now boosted for your passive, so faster auto attacks while being safer inside that Aurora Veil means Muscle Band is viable on it, even though it's a special attacker. So even though you look at Ninetails, you're like, oh, it's a high damage burst mage, so I just want to do like the Gengar thing, go Wise Glasses, Shell Bell, scoring item. I also don't see Buddy Barrier, like Buddy Barrier kind of makes sense because if you Unite move and you get extra shield, and then you set that up inside of your Aurora Veil, it's also pretty good. So that is a pick that people are taking, but I don't know what the Shell Bell is doing here. Like, you're better off getting those boosted auto attacks faster and making them hurt a bit more, and also having that percent health, which always scales at some point in the game. So yeah, get rid of the Shell Bell, keep the Wise Glasses because the special attack is still going to help your base damage and your boosted damage inside the Aurora Veil, and then also the craziness that's happening from your Unite move. Aurora Veil plus the Muscle Band also speeds up the freezes to make your Unite move even stronger, so Buddy Barrier can work there. Energy Amplifier for the extra damage, I don't think is needed as much. I think that Buddy Barrier gives you that extra safety because you are frail. You are a low endurance Pokemon. And then like, yeah, now it makes Ninetails even more unstoppable. So I say do that. Get rid of Shell Bell, put in the Muscle Band, good to go. Then we have Pikachu, and I feel like Pikachu is one of those Pokemon that it's just an artillery mage, crazy range, crazy damage, has CC, Wise Glasses, special attack specs, Shell Bell, always keep that pressure on, but you do have long cooldowns, so I don't think you're getting like the healing from Shell Bell doesn't matter. So if you like have Shell Bell here just for more special attack, I think that's where you take off Shell Bell. Shell Bell just seems to be a very niche item, not like Unga Bunga too much. And like I said with Gengar, Gengar isn't crazy reliant on Unite moves. So I say get rid of Shell Bell, put in the Energy Amplifier, and now you're even more insane because Pikachu, that Unite move can be game changing. It's such a wide range. It's so much damage is raining down. So 21% boosted damage with that, with 7% special attack scaling, special attack spec scaling, all that craziness. I think that's what you want to do. So little Unga Bunga, but not directly, just crazy damage stuff like that. Slowbro. Slowbro is this, yeah, Buddy Barrier, just make it to where it's like unkillable. It uses Unite move, it's unkillable, it helps out an ally, you walk in with that Assault Vest, that's just, like, it's good too, because with the Slowbro passive, as you're healing up, and as you're forgetting damage, well, you also just have more base damage, and that special defense going on. Then Aeos Cookie, like I said, and then Aeos Cookie, like I said, Aeos Cookie is going to offset so many stats from the opponent as you score. Even if Slowbro has like weak scoring early on, like yeah, this 3 probably like overinflated. I say like Slowbro has like a 1.5 scoring, at least till the mid game. And then like if you can win a fight, or if you can just kind of tank something out, or something happens, you get an opportunity to score, you can use that, and then you're getting that cookie scaling, and you're even more unkillable. So playing up the tankiness on the Slowbro, I think is really good. Maybe a Wise Glasses in here somewhere to have more autonomy, because like Slowbro surf damage is crazy. I feel like Mage Slowbros are also pretty wild as well. There's not there could be a case for Shell Bell, because like the Shell Bell healing for all of the ticks of your Slow Beam could be pretty nice. So I mean, like maybe just go like high burst Slowbro with Wise Glasses, special attack specs, and Shell Bell, and have fun that way. But if you just want to be like a very annoying tank, this looks pretty good as well. They don't hard carry, but they can be annoying. However, the most successful Slowpoke Slowbro I have seen just sat top lane. It sat top lane 1v2 and just stopped scoring forever, and I feel like the best way that's accomplished is Assault Vest, Focus Band, Leftovers. I say you offset your weak early game by just being too tanky and unkillable in the early game. Now I do think Leftovers is a very weak item, because like, oh, +9 hit point recovery. That doesn't really matter too much when moves are doing like hundreds or thousands of damage, even in the early game. Like a full Ninetails combo is over 1,000 damage or something, so it's like, ooh, we get to offset that pretty hard. But if you're just like sitting under the goal, and then you're getting the 2% maximum health per second when out of combat, and you're also just getting the shield and the natural healing and the citrus berries, and then you have the +30 defense and +30 special defense and the 42 special defense, and then you have hit points just coming from other sources and other weird stuff like that. So I think it also means that you're going to be more important throughout the entirety of the game by slowing down your opponent and letting you just have a better time to kind of like transition into your mid game where you're a bit stronger. So yeah, and it also means like you don't need to be reliant on your night move. So I think the Assault Vest, Focus Band, Leftovers, the consideration, because you don't die, you come back into the fight super hard, you forget damage, you get a shield, and you can't be stopped. You just cannot be moved out of the game. And maybe poor item selection in mass is why I don't have Slowbro high on my tier list, because every Slowbro I've had on my team is bad, and pretty much every Slowbro, except for the one I've seen on my opponent's teams, were bad, but also that Slowbro wasn't really super impactful. Like, yeah, he stopped out scoring, and he made it to where it was, like, just annoying to deal with, but then it was whatever. However, if you really build a strategy around this, yeah, unkillable Slowbro. Try to do that. Now, Snorlax is my secondary main, and I am really nasty on Snorlax, and these are the items I run on Snorlax. Focus Band, because I've already talked about how crazy that value is. Maybe Aeos Cookie instead. Like, I haven't tried that just like dedicated, try to like hyperscale tank, just bully out whatever other stat gains the opponent can have on the Aeos Cookie. Because like, again, I think it's secretly the best item in the game. But I really like Focus Band because it's extra healing on top of your rest and just makes it to where you can't get killed in most situations. Like, yeah, Zeraora ganks, you're caught in like a 1v3 because your ally has to abandon you because it's a gank or something like that. And you can die, but also, like, Focus Band just saves you super hard with the healing that you just naturally have, and I like the Muscle Band a lot, because, like, Slowbro's damage is pretty high. And if you can get like a level advantage or 2 levels up, or if you're just like doing really good with a heavy slam or your stunning move, your body slam, like you're just so naturally tanky. But Snorlax also has a surprising amount of base damage and can just like put out damage. So scaling your abilities with the muscle band, slightly more attack speed, and then like a little bit better auto attack percent health, that can actually change those early game fights and just make it like, wow, why is Snorlax snowballing on me? That's because you just bump up its base damage just a bit, and then, yeah, it's crazy. And as we've discussed, Buddy Barrier is ridiculous. You ult on Snorlax, get 40% hit point shield, now they can't kill you, now you have the focus band proccing, and now you're getting all of your health back because of Unite move. Now your Unite move does a little bit more damage because of the muscle band. Like, I think that just rounds out Snorlax a lot better than a lot of the other things. I don't think you need the Assault Vest because Snorlax is just so tanky and it can do so much without needing that 15% shield, and it really just comes down to like the big Unite move plays where you're already getting 40% health. So I think like the Muscle Band gets that early game up a bit more, even though Snorlax is already pretty strong in lane, then everything else just kind of comes together. So there we go. So my experience with Snorlax is splashing a little bit of damage. Try it out. Tell me how it goes. I think it goes pretty well. Next up, that brings us to Talonflame. Talonflame, I think, is like hyper mobility, float stone, that's a thing. And I think just run Talonflame like the Greninja. I haven't seen Talonflame be super impactful in games. I haven't seen Greninja be super impactful in games. And I think it's because they don't have a massive team fight influence. They're probably better off as like backdooring scores on hypermobility or something, especially Talonflame. But that's how you lose games. Like if you're backdooring to get 100 points at the 2-minute warning, well, if the enemy team takes Zapdos because of the 5v4, you lose. There's just too much impact on Zapdos. So if that gets nerfed or something about the meta changes, then we might see a bit more with Greninja and Talonflame. These more split pusher, non-team fight oriented Pokemon. But until then, I think the Score Shield, that's just how you tilt your opponent. Score Shield, Float Stone. Do you go Muscle Band on the Talonflame? Because like Talonflame is weird. It doesn't really get too much damage in that fight, so I don't think you're getting a lot of scaling or base damage off of that Muscle Band. Talonflame doesn't have early scoring, much like a lot of the other evolutionary Pokemon. Fletchinder, kind of weak, don't have a lot of scoring opportunities, and then Talonflame is just weak in general. So I don't think you're getting the attack weight scaling to a point that actually matters, and your Night move is weird. Like, you either use it to take a couple of people out of the fight, or like remove one person, or push someone away from scoring, or catch someone out, but even then, it's not like ultimately game changing. And then the 21% damage, well, you have all these other mobility moves, and you're not like trying to team fight super hard. So I don't really know what you would put as your other item on the Talonflame. Like, I think it's kind of out of place, and I guess that means attack weight ends up being the best option by default. It's not like you need to be tankier for more cooldowns to be a bit more effective. Floatstone already has a very high attack, so I guess eventually, if you score a couple of times, even if it takes 4 or 5 minutes, then you're getting more base damage for your abilities than the Muscle Band. Yeah, there we go. Actually, we just get more base attack, plus 18 versus plus 15. So, yeah, attack weight just because of the default base damage. But you're not doing it because it's like, oh man, I'm going to scale and hyper carry. Just doing it because it's really the only stats that work with how Talonflame is, because it's weird. And thing is, Talonflame is supposed to be a carry, so experience share feels weird on it, but maybe that could be an idea that like a support-ish roaming Talonflame on like hyper speed, maybe for the extra backdoor, just getting as much, like just making it only about speed and nothing else. Nah, attack weight, floatstone, squish. I don't know. I did this with my like, oh, what moveset to use on Talonflame. I don't know enough about Talonflame. I haven't seen Talonflame succeed enough. Talonflame mains are mad at me, but I don't care about that. It's just an awkward Pokemon. Venusaur. Bottom tier, it's weird, I don't know what to do. All I know is really like Shell Bell is the item you want for this Pokemon, and you want to go Giga Drain, Petal Dance, because Petal Dance, all those activations, all those hits are going to be healing you because of the Shell Bell. And then Giga Drain, that's heal, that's tankiness. So like all this synergy, Shell Bell, Giga Drain, Petal Dance, that's super good. But then Venusaur just isn't as crazy as a lot of the other carries in the game, and it just doesn't do as much damage, and it's not as impactful. It's also, its early game is kind of weak, but you do need the Wise Glasses. Like, you are doing special attacks, you are a special attacker, and that's just going to give you more Shell Bell healing, that's going to give you more base damage, so that's just going to scale really well. As for the last item, I think all the other things I've talked about really come into play, that Assault Vest's durability, Focus Band, just go Hyper Healing. Like, okay, now I'm hard to kill, but I'm healing because of Shell Bell, I'm healing because of Giga Drain, getting that clutch little Focus Band healing, then everything's pretty good. I think Venusaur's Unite move is awful, probably the worst in the game, so Energy Amplifier, Buddy Barrier probably don't do too much for it. Yeah, Focus Band. Don't, like, maybe Focus Band saves you from an early death because Bulbasaur and Ivysaur are weak, and then that doesn't put you as far behind, and then it does scale into the late game because it's percent health. So I think that's something to consider, but also, Venusaur is weird. Its auto attack is super strong. So kind of like Ninetails, if you're in your field, if you're in your AoE and you're doing your thing, then you're getting slightly faster, slightly more impactful auto attacks, Muscle Band could be the play. So Muscle Band, Shell Bell, Wise Glasses. You're frail, but you are putting out more damage, and it does make things weird. Maybe give up the Wise Glasses, because kind of like what I talked about with Cramorant, the overall special attack scaling and overall damage just doesn't have a crazy amount of value, and it only drops off as the game goes on. So maybe that's where you put in that Eos Cookie, where it's like, oh, Eos Cookie, now I'm just tankier. I'm bulkier than people expect a Venusaur to be, and because I'm getting damage reduction from my Giga Drain, it just scales off the health. So you're getting more effectiveness out of the health, more effectiveness out of the healing, you're in the fight longer, and maybe that could be it. Maybe the secret to Venusaur, like I've said with a couple of these other Pokemon, is that the item choices are just wrong because people aren't thinking outside the box enough to make the Pokemon work. They're meta-slaving, they're taking advice from other people without thinking for themselves, and that's actually hindering the Pokemon as a whole. But if, like, you get the right optimization, the right playstyle, that could be what maybe breaks the Pokemon, or at least makes it viable or a lot stronger than it's already playing. So, Shell Bell, Eos Cookie, Muscle Band, that could be the nutty Venusaur that everyone needs. Wigglytuff. I've tried all special attacks, Slappage, Wigglytuff, and the early game is insane. Also, the Shell Bell healing on slap, 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 or like Defense Curl, bounce, 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 bounce is really nice. So I like Shell Bell on it, but the biggest problem with Wigglytuff is that Pound drops off, or not even Pound, but also the Double Slap just drops off super hard. Like, all of a sudden, Wigglytuff goes from using one ability and doing half of someone's health to a full max level 10 Double Slap of like, ba 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 ba, is only like a quarter of someone's health. Even if you have Wise Glasses, because you are a special attacker, even if you have scored 6 with special attack specs and you have a maxed out Shell Bell, you just stop doing damage. So, I don't know, Wigglytuff is in a weird spot. If its scaling gets improved, then maybe like special attack Wigglytuff is going to be a thing. Maybe it got nerfed from the beta, but even the damage of Slappage Wigglytuff felt like it fell off in the beta. Maybe it did get like a touch nerf. I don't know. Wigglytuff is in a weird place. Also, I said this in my moveset guide. Don't run Sing. I think Rollout's a higher skill cap. Double Slap, it's just so strong early on that I think it beats out Dazzling Gleam. Dazzling Gleam then like transitions and scales a little better in the late game, but so maybe by just like the potential of what can happen here with all this crazy Wigglytuff stuff going on. Wigglytuff is classified as a support. I don't really see how. So it's like Buddy Barrier, because your Unite move is really good for both yourself and your allies and an extra ally. So like finding a place for Buddy Barrier, maybe just making it to where that's what Wigglytuff is there for, could be the way to go. Or maybe just like full tank Wigglytuff and Sing is the way to go. Because I'm having too much fun with like rollout and working on optimizing the Pokemon as much as possible. But after getting a lot of experience on it, there is a high skill cap, but your damage just falls off too much. It's like, can't do anything, even if it's bouncing around the Zapdos pit and knocking people up and getting ability resets. So maybe just like tank, Sing, Starlight, Recital, be boring, but at that point, just pick like other Pokemon. Mr. Mime at that case is a lot more ridiculous. I don't know, Wigglytuff is kind of weird, and its damage profile and abilities don't really work with a lot of the item selection. And then we have Zeraora. Zeraora is the same as Lucario. Unga Bunga, get as much damage, get as much scaling, nothing else matters. I don't know why this scope lens is here, because I think you want to be hyper ganking. You want that float stone, you want that speed, you want to clear as fast as possible, you want to move around lanes as fast as possible, and then you want the most base damage as possible. So you do tons of damage, and then you keep on doing tons of damage. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.